Good morning all, how are we doing? Can you hear my fan going? Question. I got my fan on, it's behind me, pointing at my sort of back side of my chair, but I don't know if it sounds like there's a hurricane going on in there. Does to me. Morning Fabio. If you can hear a really annoying fan noise, let me know because I'll turn it off. It's too hot. 26 degrees last night, at night. That's ridiculous. Anywho, you know they say you should trade with a right frame of mind. If you wake up, you're feeling tired, shouldn't be trading. That's today. So I'll see how I get on. But my God, it was evil last night. Quick recap of yesterday, just before we start. Morning Diamond. You obviously can't hear the fan then, no one's mentioned it, that's good. But if it does sound like there's a jumbo jet taking off, let me know. So I can put up with it for a couple of hours. Quick recap yesterday before we get going. Banked 0.9% yesterday. 2 oils. It was that one and that one. Pen, where you gone? That one there, I took off, and I had one there as well, which I took off. That was just a small one, which I took off there. That was the initial sort of Asian push, which I took off at the beginning of London because I was expecting potentially a double top there. But we pushed through and bounced very nicely. So I took that one off up there. I've still got one position on, which I took during the day. So just basically getting out of these oils as we push up, assuming that we're going to continue to push up on oil. We've got plenty of room. Should at some point get back up and re-challenge these highs at 122 a barrel. So that's what I'm sort of looking for. Although where we are right now is kind of getting to where if we are going to continue on our downward move, where the sellers who follow the trend lines will start to step in and try and push price back down again. So we will see. But yeah, so oil took off. Aussie dollar CAD yesterday got out of as well. That was one short, so I had 2 shorts on that one, a little bit close together. So where's that one come from there? We had these 2 positions which were one there and one there, which were too close together, taken by the EA. So the second position I added on, I took off yesterday and I shut that one so that I wasn't overexposed there. So I took that. I've got another sell position, oops, get rid of that, which has just gone on there. So I'm 2 short Aussie CAD and US dollar CAD. So took off a third of that. That was a 0.26, I think. 0.23? Yeah, 0.23 that was. So I took a third of that off using the profit from that position there. You can see I've been milking this anyway on the long side. I've got one position on there and then 2/3 of a position on there. I just wanted to scale out a little bit on this US dollar CAD because this is a bull against a bull. There is potential for this to drop because of where we are. I think we've got potentially to come back down and re-challenge these lows. I don't think we're going to get back down to this range low. This is the range high, which we broke out of considerably, but this didn't hold this this breakout. So I'm just being a little cautious scaling out of this in case this is a false breakout and they're going to want to take it all the way back down to the lows of the range. I don't think they will, but looking potentially for this sort of level back down towards the 72. Hoping obviously today we're just going to go up, but if we do come back down to here, obviously I'll scale in and then I'll continue to do drawdown control on these positions just to reduce the exposure a little bit, just in case. So that's all I banked yesterday. I've got oil on obviously in profit at the moment. New Zealand Swiss is pretty much break even, pound US is pretty much break even. and I've got Aussie CAD. I've got nothing that's anywhere near worrying level at all. So just business as usual at the minute. Didn't get an awful lot of movement. We did get movement yesterday, but not an awful lot of direction. So we had intraday movement up and down, but we didn't have much directional movement, hence not getting out of a lot of stuff yesterday. So indices. We had a funny old day yesterday on indices. I got ripped to pieces yesterday. Lost 2.5 yesterday, I think it was. Just under in the end. Started the second funded account yesterday morning and lost $850 on that. I didn't trade that yesterday afternoon. I did actually. I did trade it. I had a good trade and then I had a bad trade, and I thought this is not the day, so I stopped. But we had a sell-off. So we had this big push up. There was this massive gap fill to do yesterday on the DAX. We had this big push up, accumulated, huge drop, and then it got really horrible and choppy through most of the New York Open, and it just was confusing as hell directionally, and then it completely tanked at the end of the session, which I wasn't trading. So very funny day yesterday on all the indices. We were stuck in the volume profile on the ES. It was stuck in the range all day. It was awful. Morning, Franco. So yeah, bad. But this morning we've opened up basically pretty much where we closed. We opened up, there's no gaps or anything, we just have opened where we closed, which is again odd. We always get some kind of gap usually, but we haven't. So funny old day today. We're in earnings season on the indices. So today we've got Netflix aftermarket, we've got Johnson & Johnson pre-market, we've got Tesla aftermarket tomorrow, then we've got AT&T, Snap, Amex, Schlumberger, Twitter. It's a pretty big week. We had banking yesterday. It's a pretty big week for news this week, but next week is the big one. So most of the earnings for the big players all start to come out next week. Starting on Tuesday, we've got Coca-Cola, General Motors, General Electric, McDonald's, Google. It was like massive day. Microsoft Tuesday. So big day coming up next week. Wednesday we've got big day. We've got Facebook next week. So yeah, a lot of big ones next week on the tech sector. So we're kicking off earnings this week with a couple of big names, but next week it's going to get really interesting. So I've got a feeling we're going to be held in ranges this week, and then obviously the week after as well. We've got quite a lot going on. So other news we've got today, nothing. We've got Bailey talking later on, and then we've got Brainard talking later than that. We've had the monetary policy meeting minutes on the Aussie, which didn't do a great deal. So no news again today. So it's just business as usual, probably fairly sideways. We've got low speaking in the morning tomorrow. So news actually kicks off tomorrow with CPI. So nothing much else to look at. Overnight, not a great deal. Market's just opened. So yeah, not a great deal of news overnight. It's just the RBA minutes basically, which didn't do a lot from the Aussies. So yeah, let's just quickly have a look at the other indices. So looking at the DAX on the daily, we had the big. So remember what I said yesterday morning. What I was looking for yesterday was a tap. Blimey, that's a big pen. A tap up into these highs basically to hold us in the range. Yeah, so we've got a nice range formed, which we've been sitting in very nicely. So we did come up, we didn't tap them, we pushed through them a fair bit, which is where we got that accumulation which held, which is where I got chopped around quite a bit. And then we pulled down a little bit in New York, pushed back up again in New York, and then we chopped around a bit more, and then we fell. So we did get the rejection at the double top. So looking for shorts today, looking for us to make our way gradually down here this week, ready for earnings next week. Just pushing up at the minute, lots of balls coming in. God, look at that, horrible. As Diarman was saying yesterday in the Telegram group, and I kind of quite agree. Morning, everybody, by the way. Ladder, Themba, Jesse. The 5-minute range is great for opening range breakouts. When you get these choppy days, the 15-minute opening range, waiting for this volatility to disappear and then waiting for the movements to kick in, isn't a bad play. So you might want to set if you've got the Price Action Toolkit, you might want to set it to 15-minute opening range instead of 5-minute and use that. But it's a personal preference thing. A lot of traders do use 5 minutes. A lot of traders do use 15 minutes for the opening range. The problem with the 15-minute opening range is if you get a runner like this, you miss the move, and quite often after that move you get an accumulation and you get chopped to death. Some days we have inside bar and then break after 20 minutes, and then within the first hour we get that range, that movement done. So there's no right or wrong. Some days the 5 minutes the best, some days the 15-minute will be the best, but it's worth experimenting. The advantage of the 15-minute is you miss all of the initial volatility chop, but then again volatility is where we quite often make our money, so it's a difficult thing to judge really. But we've had a little push out the highs there, just taking out the pre-market liquidity, so might clear the decks for a downside move today, but we'll see. So yeah, so that's the DAX, pushed up into those highs. Nasdaq, we pushed up, didn't quite get to that previous high. We came up into the close of that session, which was the pre-market high, the previous session's high. So yeah, we did push up quite nicely into that area and rejected back down again. So again, similar sort of play on that one. Big solid bar this morning. S&P very much the same. The Dow actually did tap into it as well, the same as the DAX, and then it pulled back. So all the markets did the same thing. They fell into a little bit more working together basically. Just look at the size of this opening range on the DAX. Absolutely huge. You've got 44 seconds left on this candle. That's a monster. That's not tradable. 82 pips on the open. Blimey. The others are doing the same by the looks of things. Huge opening ranges this morning. Yeah. So we'll wait until the lines get drawn on for the opening range, but you've got a huge opening range high-low there to get a break from. I get the feeling we might well sit within that today and go into a rotation. It's pretty much done the range you would expect to get out the Frankfurt session in the first candle. So we'll see what liquidity's left, but it looks like a long to me. That's mental. Yeah, I haven't seen that for a while. That's what do you do with that? Nasty. Anyway, so yeah, not a particularly fun open there. If you're trading with volume profile, I would wait for it to build up some volume somewhere, wherever it's going to stop, and build a volume cluster, and then sort of bounce between volume clusters. We've got a big one here, which we've obviously just moved out the top of. God, this thing's off like a rocket, look. I didn't take any positions this morning on the futures at all because I didn't really have any directional bias. So we just tapped up into that propulsion gap on the DAX. That's not really the that really is the one I would be more interested in on the 5 minute, because that's the accumulation drop. We did have an accumulation there, so that probably is valid for sellers to step in on top. Bear in mind, obviously, we had a massive down day yesterday. So anybody that's holding overnight positions and long term will be looking to add to their positions on any pullbacks. So anywhere there or there. So I would call sort of 12,960 as an area of interest, and obviously this is an area of interest. So see if that holds. If that holds and we get a bearish move off of that, we might well just go into a bit of a pullback. Tricky one this morning. Nothing on ADRs so far this morning. We had quite a few ADR hits yesterday. Most of those have played out very nicely. Nothing on the weeklies. There's nothing new on the monthlies that we didn't see yesterday. Most of it being euro based. Obviously, don't forget Thursday this week is the euro refinancing rate. So I'm expecting the market to be fairly undirectional until that is released, because everything's going to hinge on this and what they do. Obviously, bear in mind, euro is the second largest currency of the majors. So it's crossed with an awful lot of volume in the market, as well as the US dollar. So a lot of the investment vehicles will be running on euro stocks and euro FX. So you've got to think in the investment world, they'll be looking at this, waiting to put directional trades on for long term for pensions and investments and that sort of thing. They'll be waiting for that rate to come out so that they've got more of an indication of whether the market's going to push or pull on the euro. So big week, but until Thursday we'll probably do that sort of thing and then wait. So I don't expect to get a massive amount of direction off of anything until then. But anything that is moving, obviously, if it's pushing up hard, you can probably expect it to pull back tomorrow. So we'll have a look at where things went yesterday, and then we can make some decisions from there. But so yeah, nothing on ADRs, nothing on the weeklies, nothing on the hourlies. The hourlies are flat as you like at the moment in the mornings. It's just not. We haven't got the directional bias at the minute. There's nothing on the 4 hourlies to look at either. US dollar yen's the only thing we've got on a daily. So everything's flat. It's all a bit flat. So looking at the daily, obviously we're still extended to the upside on that. I'm looking for longs on the US dollar yen until the Kuroda comes out and says something different. So Bank of Japan, and again that's Thursday morning. The monetary policy outlook and statement from the BOJ. So that will be a biggie overnight. So yeah, nothing to look at from a mean reversion perspective at the moment. We're just in stuff, waiting for stuff to play out. So just keeping in line as much as possible with those longer term trends at the minute, waiting for pullbacks to get into some positions. So we'll have a quick whiz through all the pairs and see where we went yesterday, because we had some ADR hits, and just see if there's anything else of interest to jump into. But if there's anything anybody wants to look at, as usual, let me know. We've got a bit of a pullback going at the moment on the DAX. Bitcoin it's rejecting again today. I was going to say yesterday Bitcoin did very much the same as the indices as you would expect. So we got the highs, which it swept. This morning already it swept the high of yesterday and is pulling back really hard. So this thing looks bearish as you like. Ethereum's pushed up into the 72, had a better day yesterday than Bitcoin, but yeah, not looking good, is it? Every attempt to make a new high is just being stomped on. Pushing up, attempting new high, pulled back. Pushing up, attempting new high. Doesn't look good. I think I'm calling it down to 5,000. That's where I think it's going. I've got rid of all my Bitcoin. Oil as well, we'll just have a look at that. So we've continued our push up. We're now on day 5 of the bull run. So potentially we could be looking for a pullback today, which is kind of why I exited the oil yesterday, because I am expecting a pullback. I really should bank. In fact, I'm just going to have a quick look at this on the 5 minute. In the 15, yeah, it's looking bearish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 60 pip trailer on this final position. Did I say 50 or 60? 50, 60, that'll do. Come on, tick up. Tick. Not moving now. There you go, there's my trailer. So I've just set that trailer on there, which will just bank $60, not a lot, it's 0.13% or something, which I'll just bank because I get the feeling we might have a pullback today. The EA is still set up, so if we pull back, I'll be getting in on the next reversal alert long anyway. So I'm just going to keep going long on oil every time it pulls back, because I think we're just going to get that run continuing, but obviously runs cannot go on forever. If you look at oil, 3 or 4 days up before we get pullbacks is pretty common at the moment with oil. 2 or 3 day pullback potentially after a little bull run, and obviously this is the big collapse. So if this is going to continue, there's two things at play here. Either the trend line masters are going to take over and they're going to push us down for a new leg, or we're just going to get a pullback long, and I think this 92 barrel plus is really the base of where this is coming to. So if we get back down to here, I think we'll probably bounce as well. So one of those two things is going to happen. So best to get out of it. If it continues, fantastic. It will just drag me along with it until it doesn't, and I'll just get out of it then. But better to bank it than just to let this one ride into drawdown. I might as well just stick it in the bank. I need some money in the bank. Franco, tell me your thoughts on euro yen. Morning, Kennelly. Euro yen. It's a long. The problem with the euro, as I've been saying for the last few days, is we don't know what's going to happen with the rates on Thursday. It's all about the rates. So at the moment, this is a nice looking long, but Thursday we've got the Bank of Japan telling us their monetary policy, followed by Europe telling us their monetary policy. So Thursday this thing could go like that. I've no idea. I haven't got a clue. It will go up or down massively on Thursday. Where it settles and which direction it takes from then will be dependent on what the euro does with its rates and what Kuroda says about future monetary policy. So it's going to be a difficult thing to trade. At the moment, I'm still long everything against the euro, everything against the yen, and obviously that is your entry. Was your entry on the euro long? I was long Aussie yen and US yen at the time, so I didn't take this one, and CAD yen. Sorry, I was long, so I didn't take the euro. But yeah, at the moment, long. I think I've got a good feeling we are going to get some strength on the euro from Thursday. But if Kuroda says anything that is bullish on the yen, we could find this thing gets kind of a bit stuck and rangy. The euro, the other option on the euro is obviously the forecast is 0.25%. I feel that's very low considering what other countries have done, and I think it's very late considering what other countries have done, and I think the market feels the same, which is why we've seen the euro continuously coming down against everything still. It's starting to pick up a little bit, but I think if it comes out at 0.25 as expected, rather than being bullish for the euro, I think we may well get a little spike and then the market go, yeah, we're not impressed, and it still drop. If Kuroda comes out bullish, this thing's going to come down hard. So again, at the moment, just stay out, I would. If you're going to trade anything with a stop, you can do what the hell you like. Doesn't matter, does it? If you're going to position trade, you've got to be aware of the news. The news and the fundamentals is what drives our life. And if you're not aware of it, you're going to get stung. At the moment, I can't call a direction on it because I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know how much the market's factored in this 0.25 increase on the euro. So I'm just staying out. But right now, today, it's still a long. So stay long, but I'd get out by Thursday. Or protect your position Thursday. you know, go to a break-even stop or a small stop on it, or lock in some profit. But you know, you're going to get double whipsawed on yen. We've got yen news while we're asleep in Asia, then we've got euro news in the afternoon. It's going to whipsaw in some respect. If it flies, brilliant, stay on it, take it. But just be prepared. If Kuroda comes out negative, euro yen is going to pump. So if, let's say, we saw 150 on euro yen because of what happened with Kuroda, we could see that all completely undone on the euro news. Likewise, we could see the euro news bolster this up to 300-400% ADR. It's not unknown when you got two big news events on the same day. If they both go the same direction, i.e. one is negative, one is positive, which bolsters a direction, you know, you could get a massive move on it, which could be a huge banker, couldn't it? So, but equally, you want to stop yourself out if it's not going to be your way, because you could go into a squeeze that lasts for weeks. So, just be careful. Jesse, Bitcoin is still reacting on the 4-hour range, bounced off the top. So yeah, so still no up. Yeah, Bitcoin's stuck, as the indices are. I'd be short, really. Felt like a sacrifice today, bleeding money. Rough day in the hood. Oh dear. That's not good. After that, and was a little bit bullish. We're stuck. This is what I mean about this opening 5 minutes. That we had that rejection, and now we're going into whippy land. Look, again, it's just huge wick, and this is what we're seeing at the moment at these opens. We're just seeing these huge wicks, like here yesterday with New York. It was just awful. It was moving, but the wicks, you couldn't get into it unless you had a decent size stop on it. You couldn't get in anywhere, any direction, because of the size of your stop. The reward was micro. It was just awful. You're just getting a lot of these wicks at the minute, making it very difficult to trade in any direction. Kind of need to be swinging the indices at the minute with the way they're doing, but them's the breaks. I've got that stuck in my head now since Boris said it. So oil's still going okay, that's good. So just a quick overview of what I'm in as well. Aussie dollar CAD is pushing at the moment. I've just got one position on, I've got two positions on that, sorry. Still pushing up. Pounds US dollar, I took one on that yesterday. As a short, not gone anywhere yet. So basically, I'd said yesterday, didn't I? I think I'm in a little bit early on this. I'd like to get in somewhere up here. I got in too early. I think we are probably going up there. So that's probably going to be my second position. Would have been my starter, but I got keen. New Zealand dollar Swiss, I got two positions on that. Going absolutely nowhere. I was very close yesterday. We were down here yesterday when I was yesterday evening when I took that one off. I posted in the Telegram group. I thought, I closed the New Zealand dollar Swiss yesterday, didn't I? Did I not? Oh no, sorry, I didn't. I was thinking about it. So yesterday we were down here. So you see where my average is. We were down here last night. And I was in profit, and I was in two minds whether to close this out last night. I should have done in hindsight, but we were very close to my initial TP on that position, and it's just sideways. We are completely sideways on this, and I was just getting fed up with it because we haven't gone anywhere. In a week, you know, I've been in this now for a while. It's just going nowhere. What I'm worried about is this being the peak formation low and us being in an accumulation push on this, meaning the Swiss franc is just dying again, and this is going to be massively impacted by the euro news. The Swissy will move with the euro on Thursday, so I'm a little cautious being in this because I've got exposure on the euro through the Swiss franc. You see I've got no euro exposure on. Suddenly realised last night actually I have got euro exposure on, but we're very close to getting out and I held it. So just not really going anywhere. And obviously I've got my US dollar CAD, which I banks quite a bit on, which is pushing down at the moment. I've already covered where that one could potentially be going. Oil's pushing up nicely this morning. Some trading's just going to carry on going on that one. Did I put a 50 or a 60 on that? I must have put a 60 on it. Yeah. Go 50. Push up a little bit more. Just going to trade it quite close. I'm just worried about this thing coming down today, and when oil moves, it moves. So, you know, we get a candle like that coming in, and I don't want to have the whole lot eaten away. So, bit bearish movement coming in, although it's still in that range. Look at these wicks. Don't trade this today, unless you're brave. Look at the size of these wicks and the size of these bodies. The market is just running algorithms at the moment. All of the big news is coming out tomorrow. All of the big earnings releases are tomorrow. So this is very algorithmic. This Globex session is quite possibly going to be a killer. So I just wouldn't trade it. There's no way of getting a bias off of it, is there? Look. If your bias is long, where are you getting in? You've got a huge margin for error and getting stopped out if you're trying to get long on this. If you decide to go short on it, it's basically pushing up, taking you out, and then moving 3 or 4 pips. Pushing up, taking people out, moving a few pips. It's nasty, just stay out. They're not being very friendly today, are they? Weren't friendly yesterday either. Right, so Aussie CAD short. I'm going to whiz through the pairs quickly because I went through them yesterday and we didn't actually do an awful lot of movement yesterday. So Aussie CAD short basically based on Canadian dollar strength. Aussie dollar's fairly weak. We've got this level coming up of potential support resistance here. There's lots of decent potential bounce points coming up on this. You know, so there's lots of areas potentially in this zone here where we could get any kind of price reaction. So we're heading up into an area of basically chop, and that will also be at ADR today. So if we get an ADR hit Aussie CAD today, I'll be getting another short on this one. Obviously bias is definitely short on it. Canadian dollar should strengthen on oil, and we're waiting for that to happen. So that's okay. You can get into that now. Aussie dollar Swiss, pretty much the same thing. Depending on what happens on Thursday, we'll get some movement on the Swissy. More likely to be positive than negative. But again, we don't know. If the rates are higher than expected, I think we'll definitely get some strong euro movement. How long that will last is up to how much of the move the market has already factored in. But yeah, I like it as a long on Thursday euro. So Aussie Swiss down. The Aussie will also be affected by yen because they're close trade partners. So you'll find the Aussie and the New Zealand and the yen, or the whole of the Asian area moves at the same time. So we'll have that movement, that big broad range of movement probably on Thursday. But yeah, looking for shorts still on that one. Aussie yen longs at the moment. All long against the yen until the yen says otherwise. So I was in it down here, but we didn't go anywhere, so I got flat on it and then it just moved. So your entries, if you stayed in this, you're still in it. I got out loads of times and I didn't get in on that entry because it was just annoying me. So missed it. Aussie New Zealand is a long, exactly the same principle. I was longing the hell out of it from the lows. I missed that one because it was just going sideways and nowhere, and I didn't want to get caught if it went the wrong way, and then it's gone back up to the highs. So right now it's a short. Aussie New Zealand. So lovely rejection short, M15 reversal right now. That doesn't fit with me. If I go Aussie New Zealand short, I'm hedging the New Zealand dollar. So I can't really do that. But yeah, Aussie New Zealand, nice looking short right now. Just about to get an hourly alert. If you want to be uber cautious, give it another half an hour. You should get the alert on the hourly, and just play it back down to the bottom of the range. That's what it's doing. Until it tells you otherwise, assume that is what's going to happen. So very, very, very gradual. Just follow the 72 basically at the minute. So look to get out the 72. Aussie US shorts pushing up at the moment. US dollar weakness. Is this US dollar weakness again today? Yeah, US dollar weakness again today. So Aussie US pushing up on the US dollar weakness. So gold should be moving as well. Not so much. Gold's holding its own at the moment. But yeah, shorts on this one. It's pushing up nicely at the minute. We could get an RSI extension on this. So we've got lovely levels that we're approaching at the moment on this one. Let's just move some of these trend lines, these lines up. So we've got decent support and resistance levels that we're sort of potentially going to tap into. We've got this level here, which held very nicely multiple times. And we're just approaching that now at the 24, so it's getting close to ADR as well. So we need the US dollar to power up basically at the moment, and we've got no news catalyst to do that. So at the moment, looking good for entry short. You want to wait for a reversal on lower time frames. And get this good looking short today. Lovely push during Asia. And continuing after a multi-day push. So it's going to have a nice pullback at some point soon, very soon. Looking very much like the indices, that one as well. So looking for that pullback very soon. So that looks like a good one to get into. I'm fully exposed on the US dollar, so not for me, but yeah, looks good. So short entries on Aussie US. CAD Swiss sideways mess, not interested. It's just not going anywhere at the moment. Canadian dollar's not really got any legs, and the Swissie's dead. So Swissie's waiting until Thursday. I don't know which way this is going to go on Thursday, so I'm just not interested in that one. CAD yen longs. Remaining long on the yen until it says otherwise. You can see I was long in the CAD yen. This was the one I was in. I was in the CAD yen, the Aussie yen, and the US yen. It just didn't get anywhere, so I just kept milking it in and out and in and out while it was going. Euro yen's taken off, apparently. So it's actually all the yen's taken off. Look, yen is weak. All the yens are pushing at the moment. So yeah, stay in it while it's pushing, basically. So yeah, CAD yen pushing at the moment. Sorry, I just seen some news coming. ECB policymakers to discuss rate hike worth 25 basis points or 50 points at Thursday's meeting. Right, okay. So this is what I was talking about with the euro. This is low. This 25 basis point is the market's reacting to that as well. This is very low, too low, I think, and I think most people probably think. I get the feeling we might see 50 on Thursday. If we do see 50, I think we're going to see some decent strength in the euro. So market's really tanking on that news. We've got some pushing down quite hard, a lot of sellers coming in, some big sell volume entering at the moment. We just pushed down on 8 to 10,000 contracts very, very quickly. It's a good looking short today now. So yeah, so I think I get the feeling that's going to happen on Thursday. We're going to get some decent movement on that. Too late to get in any of these yens long. We're approaching highs, especially on the CAD yen, so I don't want to be buying into resistance. Might be worth watching this for a double top today, but again, I don't really want to get in any yen at the moment until that news comes out on Thursday. I want to see what Kuroda's, whether he's going to jivvy the market up or whether he's going to keep it suppressed by not being worried about it. But they are getting worried about it, so I think they're going to do something about it soon. So it's whether or not they're going to do it on Thursday. Lovely bear candle there if anybody was short. But we'll see if that's a knee-jerk reaction. I really think with these euros, we'll come on to the euros in a sec, I'll talk about them in a sec. Swiss yen, long again. Obviously, this is pretty much the same as the euro yen. Yeah, so you're going to get directional movement on both of these on Thursday, so just be very careful if you're in any euro yen or Swiss yen. So with all these euros, you can see we've been in a holding pattern for the last week on a lot of these, and some of them have been moving with other pairs because the other pairs have been strong, but the euro has been pretty much held for the last week. Euro odd is poised at this low. It's pushed down there, rejected, push down, rejected, push down, rejected, push down. We're rejecting now. We're just holding down here, so anytime we get down to these lows, it's a nice looking long. With what they've just said this morning, the odds of a euro push on Thursday are now a little bit higher. They are admitting that they're probably wrong about the 25 and we need more. So if that does happen, it's likely we'll get some strength. So if you want to take a risk on these euros, now's the time to do it. You're just about to get an M15 alert. You see the euros pushed, yeah? So on that news of a rate hike, the market's like, right, okay, they are going to do something about it, in which case we should strengthen the euro. That's what they're doing. Obviously, the indices do the opposite of what the currency does. So it looks bullish. So if you look at where we are on the 15-minute chart's the best overview for this one, particularly for the euro odd. You can see where the lows are. If you want to swing a position on this, you've got options of going stops under there or there, basically. That's under ADR, so the chances of hitting that are obviously, 50-50-ish, but are good. That you're not going to hit that. If we can get up to here by Thursday and hover around there, you're going to have a really nice potential swing long on your hands. Got in and out 50 pips last 30 minutes euro yen. Yeah, nice. Good one. So yeah, it's looking more attractive as a long now, isn't it? The euro odd. It just they may not do it, and if now after saying that they decide to come out with a 0.25, the market's probably going, you're rubbish, and tank it again. So it's still a very difficult situation. If you're going to go with it, I would definitely use a stop, and you can get in on M15. You've got a reversal alert about to hit you now, but look at the 4 hour for your planning. Yeah, and look at where we have been recently. Yeah, this area here is your ultimate low, and think about what the market does on news events. We get these spikes, and what do the spikes do? They reach for liquidity. Where's the liquidity? There. Yeah, anybody that's entered long-term long over the last month is under there. Anybody that's entered long any time in the last week is under there. So depending on what happens with that rate announcement, even if it is really positive, there is a chance they could spike that out before it happens. They could come and spike it out and then bring it back up there by Thursday. So just with all these euros, just look at where levels are. And obviously they can move it different distances on each of these based on the other currencies, obviously power and strength, by putting other orders into the other currencies as well. So they can manipulate any currency to any level they want to on the same news event. But this looks really nice for a long. So you want to be picking the weaker currencies at the moment. So things like the Aussie, the pound, the New Zealand dollar, the US dollar and the CAD. The Swissy I wouldn't get involved in with the euro because it's pretty much the same thing. Yen is too much of an unknown at the moment based on what is going to happen on Thursday. So the CAD, the pound, the pound, the odd and the New Zealand are probably the best looking long opportunities on these euros if you want to have a go at them. I'm just personally not, because I don't want to take that extra risk and I don't want to use a stop. I'm having a really good month. And there's no point in me taking unnecessary risks. Stopped out of oil, banked 0.22% on that oil trade. So I'll get back into that oil when it pulls back. Oh, that looks like a bit of an unnecessary stop out. No, it's pulled back. So it's pushing up again now, but so I'm out of that oil from yesterday. So wait for pullbacks to get into a new long position on that one. So yeah, so Euro odd, Euro CAD is already going. Canadian dollar could well power up a little bit more on oil as well, so it's probably not the best of the bunch, but it's certainly going. Obviously, it's all going now because of that news event we just had. So nice reversal alert. We've retested it, held it, and we're pushing. So again, bullish. Euro Swissy. This is the difficult one. This is going to move the least out of the lot. Because if we get strength on the euro, we will get strength on the Swissy, and obviously strength against strength is that. The Swiss franc's been in charge since its rate increase, and this is what I mean by the rate increase, yeah? The Swiss franc increased their rates unexpectedly. The Swiss franc never does it. Never. Hasn't done it. This is the first time it's done it. So that was a massive shock, obviously, for the market. But that's what happens when you get an increase in rates higher than expected. It's good because they're getting on top of inflation better, which will get their economy on track faster. So it strengthens the currency. If euro strengthens, that will also strengthen the Swissy. So this is going to move less. So it's probably not the best one to trade. 77 ADR. Euro pound, on the other hand, only a 61 ADR, but the pound is very, very weak at the moment. This one could move very strong. Again, not the best one either because the euro and the pound are very close trade partners. It's in their interest not to have one of their currencies inflated or deflated massively because it makes trade difficult for both parties, which is why you see a lot of sideways movement on these two, because it doesn't. If the euro suddenly goes, haha, we're way stronger than you, we're going to go, haha, we're going to buy stuff elsewhere, and they'll go, oh, all right then. We've got to think about trade. It's all about economy. So the euro New Zealand and the euro odd are the better options for longs, because you've got first of all you've got an Australasian pair against a European pair, so you get a lot more movement while the other one's asleep. This one can make a run for it. And you've got the New Zealand, which are mainly New Zealand and Aussie are commodity-based countries, so they're much more linked to oils, metals, that sort of thing, commodity-based things, and commodities are going up, but they're a lot more stable, a lot less fractious. So, yeah, good movement on these two. Euro yen, obviously, we've just looked at. That's having a good push at the moment, but obviously Thursday we've got potentially big movements on the euro, on the yen, before the euro news. So it's completely flip of a coin as to what's going to happen Thursday morning with the yen off the Bank of Japan monetary policy. So this is, the world is listening on tenterhooks as to what they're going to do about their bond purchase. They're just digging themselves into a big hole. They're buying the yen, they're propping the yen up by buying it, which means you're holding something that's depreciating, which makes you poorer, basically. You're spending more money to get poorer, which is basically what's happening to the yen. They've got to stop it at some point. So any moment that could happen, and then the yen is going to strengthen up. We're going to get interested in buying it. So yeah, very difficult to trade that one. So, and Euro US is weaker than it has been for a long time. So there is potential for the euro to become the stronger of the two. And if that's the case, what we will probably see is a nice orderly grind rather than a battering, which is what the euro tends to get. So we'll probably see more of this sort of battling going on. Which will be lovely because it'll be tradable. It's going to be quite a difficult mindset to get into longing the euro, because I've been shorting it for years. So we'll see. We'll see what the market makes of it on Thursday. Pounds all shorts. So pound odd. I'm a bit annoyed I missed this one, to be honest. But yeah, it's a short. It's a very whippy, untidy short. We are down at support at the moment. It's getting bought up every dip here on this initial move. But it is just a massive. If you look at it, it's just a massive range. So if you're going to position trade this, you know, if you go long here, you're going to scale in down here to get out. If you go short here and you're wrong, you're going to scale in on the way up there to get out. That's all it's doing and all it's been doing for a long time. So at the moment it's in the middle. I'm biased short on it. You know, we haven't had really an opportunity since, you see I took the opportunity short there. But you know, I'm in cautious mode. Swiss yen pushing up hard, DAX coming down. Yeah, so basically the Swiss yen is pushing because we've had positive news on the euro just released, and like I said, the Swissy and the euro will move together. The yen is very weak today, so the Swiss yen will have more push than anything at the moment, same as the euro yen, because you've just had positive news on both of those pairs against a currency which is open very weak. Pound CAD, looking for shorts on this one. Again, no opportunities. It's just not getting up. I want it up here somewhere. Ideally, I want to be looking at a double top for a short. We're not getting anywhere. You know, it's sideways. It's a mess. I can't get in. I will get in short if I can get an opportunity. I don't want to get in for getting in's sake. I want to get in at a level, and it's just not getting anywhere. So it's forming a triangle at the minute, though. So we're contracting. This is probably not a bad area to get in for a short. So sucks for my short. You shouldn't be shorting anything against the yen. I've been saying this for, don't know, call it 6 months. Everything's long against the yen. You shouldn't be shorting it. Slap on the wrist. Hopefully they'll sort that out for you on Thursday. It'd be really nice to get some strength on the yen. We've had such a weak yen for such a long time. You know, if you're ever in two minds as to whether or not to take a trade, first of all, if you're in doubt, stay out. Remember that. Stuck in my head when somebody told me it, and it's still in my head now. If in doubt, stay out. If you analyse something, you look at something and you're not sure about it, just don't take it. If something looks too good to be true, it gets up to there, we're extended on the RSI, we get a reversal alert, and it's at 150 ADR, just not even going to think about it, I'm short. But if I'm not sure, just don't take the trade. But, you know, use these moving averages, this 24 and this 72, the institutional moving averages, use them. This has been a long since March this year. Well, since before that, but it was just sideways. But that has always been a long. Right, we're coming down to lows. We're just about to hit the lows on the S&P. God, it's falling out of bed nicely, isn't it? If we hadn't have had that news this morning, we'd have been mucking around. But the market is definitely happy about that euro news. Obviously, the stock market will be the opposite. So, getting tired. You are, Franco? Have a good one. Good night. Anticipating Thursday. Well, if you're anticipating Thursday, ladder, that's no problem. So if you're getting in on a speculative short because of you're expecting yen strength, that's great. But we've just had news that is likely to power up the euro and the Swissy on Thursday as well. So just think what might happen to you. If Kuroda comes out and says we're doing nothing but continuing to buy the yen up, the yen is going to have a very, very weak day. If the euro comes out at 0.5, the Swissy is going to have a very strong day. I would not be surprised to see us at a double top on Thursday. But it's all hinging on those news events. So, you know, this is why I'm not trading the euro. It's a very risky, and the Swissy obviously is part of the European, part of Europe, isn't it? So it's all very risky trading that at the minute, and the yen, which is why I'm, you know, I just have no yen exposure, no euro exposure. I've got one little Swissy on, but I'm long on it. So, you know, it's just be careful. If we get a pull down on it, and you've got a chance to either break even, get out, or do some drawdown control, I would just do it just to be safe. So we're up on the pounds, weren't we? The pounds CAD is a short. Like I say, you couldn't get into it at the moment. Pound Swiss is definitely a short now. That's the entry this morning, really. Yesterday, New York was the entry, which didn't get. Just missed a retest by a pip. Literally missed it by probably a micro pip. So yeah, that's a nice looking short. Potentially we should see some continuation short on that. I'm not going to get in that because I've got Swiss franc on. I'm not going to get overexposed on the Swissy. So, but I like that short. Pound yen, I say, is stuck at the moment. This is a nice looking short. So again, you have to make your mind up. Are you bullish or bearish on yen on Thursday? I mean, if you are bullish or bearish, you are literally gambling anyway, because you've got no way of knowing. Neither have I or anybody. But we're getting more and more close to being likely that Kuroda is going to try and inflate his currency. So with the pound being weak at the moment, if that does happen, this is going to come down quite hard. So I'm just not ready yet to take that chance. I want to see what happens, and then I will react to it afterwards. So I'll have a bias on it. Pound New Zealand, just waiting, not going anywhere. Pound US dollar, I've got a short on. So I've got first short on this, waiting for some US dollar strength to come through. Again, if the yen powers up on Thursday, the US dollar will typically power up alongside it. So just waiting at the moment for some strength on the US dollar to bring this pound down. Again, just look at the chart, and if you showed this to somebody who's never traded in their life and said, do you want to buy or sell this? They're never going to tell you to buy it, unless they've heard that term, buy low, sell high, in which case you can just say that's stocks, this is Forex. It's not going well, is it, for the pound? Unfortunately, the US dollar's kind of like that at the moment. It's just not quite got that strength. So I'm going to be short on it. If it does prove me wrong, and we get some kind of weird US dollar weakness that is sustained for any reason, this is obviously the major resistance. So I'll probably be in a couple more by the time we get up to there, and we should get that bounce somewhere up there, which is obviously 24.72 zone, and we'll also be extended on the RSI, ready for a pullback on profit take. New Zealand's again short New Zealand against the CAD. I'm in the Aussie CAD, same thing, New Zealand CAD, Aussie CAD. CAD's really weak at the moment. Something wrong with the CAD today, it's broken. So yeah, New Zealand CAD pushing up at the moment, same as Aussie CAD. Bit of strength. This is Canadian weakness rather than New Zealand and Aussie strength. So looking for shorts. This is not getting to a bad spot to start getting ready for entry on it. If it gets up to the highs of yesterday, up at 125 ADR, I'll be looking at shorts on that. I'm already in it, so I'll be adding to my short. In fact, that's a really good spot coming up right now. So we've got this zone basically here. We've got this accumulation. So somewhere around about ADR. US dollar Swiss just hit ADR. That will be off the Swiss franc strength on the news. 40. Yeah, I want to be taking another trade in here. I'm not going to get a reversal alert on this at the moment. So I'm going to just set a manual short up at ADR, which is bang in the middle of potentially where I think we've got a good chance of getting a reversal in. So I'm just going to take that there. If we do push up and we get some kind of reversal alert up there as well, obviously I'll be in the second position, so I will monitor closely if it manages to get me into two. But right now the reversal alert isn't going to happen there, and that's only that far away from my entry. So I want to get in half an ADR away. And that is 40, so that's just over half an ADR on the Aussie CAD. So then we were talking about New Zealand CAD, weren't we? That's why I was talking about that one. So similar thing on that. New Zealand dollar Swiss. I've got my sells on this one at the moment. So New Zealand dollar Swiss. We've just had that strength on the Swiss franc. God, this isn't reacting very well, is it? All the other Swissies are doing all right. This one's not. But yeah, that's really going to help bolster this trade. The fact that that news has just come out, we should see some strength coming through on the Swissy, and obviously that's going to push down the New Zealand dollar. I'm looking to get out that one there. I think that is that one there. Yeah. So looking to get out that one there. What's the spread like at the minute? Let's just move that up in case it double bottoms. So yeah, looking for that position to be exited there, because these are a bit too close together. They're only 15 pips apart on a 60 ADR, so it's a quarter of an ADR between the two. A bit tight on it, hence me getting out of that one down there. But yeah, still liking it short. It's up at the range highs. We are still stepping down. Yeah, but we are also stepping up. So we have contraction, symmetrical triangle formation. Could break that way, obviously, no idea, but based on fundamentals, looking for a break to the south. New Zealand dollar yen, pushing up to the highs at the moment. Again, got to wait on this one for next week, but at the moment it's a long, and if Kuroda doesn't come out and say anything else, it's still a long. So looking to come up and challenge these highs at some point, but not long in here. The longs were down there, same with the Aussie yen. And New Zealand US shorts, waiting for US dollar to power up. US dollar's really weak today, so everything's taken advantage of this US dollar. US dollar Swiss has obviously hit ADR because the Swiss franc is a lot stronger today because of the Euro news, and obviously we got this US dollar weakness. So good opportunities to start getting in shorts on anything against the US dollar with this weakness that we've got this morning. Obviously still holding the 24. If we do push out of the 24, wouldn't look for too much of a move. Before starting to roll over on US dollar strength. We just got no US dollar news coming through at this end of the week, so we've got to wait. US dollar CAD obviously is weak, so in my positions on that one, just taking another one on that. We just had a reverse alert on M5, which I've just got into another position on. It's just retesting that at the moment, so we'll see if we can hold that. So third position long US dollar CAD. US dollar Swiss is an ADR. Probably wouldn't want to get in front of this until we know whether or not this Euro reaction is going to be sustained. New bond purchases, yeah. So obviously you can see we're strong since that move. So see how long this lasts. This could bolster it for the day, really. So there's all your euros starting to hit ADRs now. So again, don't take ADR. I always say this: don't take ADR reversals off of fundamental news. If you're getting a fundamental shift for any reason and you're getting on an ADR reversal, there's a good chance it's going to continue to push for days. We've got 2 days until the rate announcement. So if this decides to go into a push accumulation news, you could be in massive trouble. So just if you're going to use a stop, again, ADR reversals, if you're using a stop strategy with them, no problem whatsoever. If you're getting into ADR reversals with a view to turning them into position trades, if they don't work out, which is what I do, don't want to be taking it on a fundamental news release like that. So yeah, ADR hits the downside. You can see this is a choppy mess. We got exactly where I was expecting us to get to on this one and got the reversal, and it's not stopped since. US dollar yen longs. So at the moment, you can scale. I scaled into all these longs here. I'm just not going to get involved in this ahead of the yen news on Thursday. If the yen news on Thursday does absolutely nothing, I'll be longing this again. But I'm waiting. Wow. Markets are now factoring in a 100 basis point hike by September. So what they did was they initially started with sort of 50s, 70s, then we got up to 80s, then they went to 65s, and then they were going back up again, and now they're saying, right, 100. So we're now up to 100 by September. So they're increasing constantly the interest rates on the ECB. The market is now forecasting higher and higher and higher because inflation is getting faster and faster and faster. And that's what I was saying about this. If the euro puts in a 0.25 on Thursday, they are way behind the curve, and that curve is just going to get exponentially larger. Think of it like COVID. You remember we saw those graphs on COVID where, you know, you got a mass spreading event and it does that. If you don't get on top of it fast enough, that increase, that accelerates exponentially, and before you know it, you've got inflation at 10 or 15%, and you've got interest rates at 1%, and you cannot keep control of it. The economy crashes, recessions hit, prices go through the roof, you're stuffed. So they've got to get on top of it, and tiny rate increases are not going to do it. So this is all good news for the euro. Well, it's not good news for the euro because the euro is still struggling badly, but it's good news that they're actually identifying the problem and doing something about it. So they're being not being proactive, they're being reactive because it's going up too fast. But you know, they're doing something about it. Rather than going 0.25, they're talking 50s and 100s now. So should be good for the euro. I suspect we'll get more of a pump on that today. So look for ADRs and look for the markets to come down today. DAX, S&P, all the US markets are all hit by this. Don't forget, it's all interlinked. As money flows into currency, it comes out of stock. Investment vehicles and investment portfolios are made of different stock sectors, FX, metals, commodities. They're a risk spread across multiple markets. As they push money into the FX, they need to take it out of other sectors, and other sectors typically tends to be stocks, which tend to drop when we get pumps on currency. So New Zealand dollar CAD ADR, that's on that weak CAD. CAD is very, very, very weak today. There is no CAD news, so I'm not quite sure why that's getting battered so much. We've got oil news tomorrow, so CAD can recover tomorrow. You can see on the currency strength chart, Aussie dollar at the moment is strongest, and our weakest is the US dollar. So good pairing there. You want to be selling New Zealand dollar, US dollar, because we're going to assume that this is going to pull back to midline. That is going to pull back to midline. These lines, these always mean revert. When you get pushes outside, they mean revert, which means that the currencies go in the opposite direction. That's the theory anyway. I couldn't make it work, but then again, I was using stops back then, so never actually tried to use currency strength with a position trading strategy, so might be something in it, who knows. New Zealand US has also just hit, so very weak CAD, very weak US today. This is looking like a nice entry. So out of these ADRs, I've just covered everything. So I've done all the pairs, so that's all the pairs done. Euro US dollar, got RSI alerts going off as well. So of these today, obviously Euro CAD has hit ADR to the upside, Euro US has hit ADR to the upside. So based on that news, that is fundamentally good news for the euro. So yeah, you don't want to really be mean reverting those two. US dollar Swiss, same thing. It's good news for the Swissy. So again, that's probably not the best mean reversion. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and New Zealand dollar CAD, however, are, because we've got potentially a strong CAD and a strong US dollar. So we should see those two mean reverting. So looking at those two, New Zealand dollar CAD, we are looking at a very nice double top, triple top, quadruple top, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of tops here, without being scientific about it, that potentially, you know, we've tapped into this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can't get through. If you can't get through after 6 attempts and it's taking a run up like that, it's not likely. So it might push through it, yeah. So, you know, 125 ADR, yesterday's high. We got key levels here for a mean reversion trade. So New Zealand dollar CAD looks like a nice little short. kind of inadvertently got it on as a mix of other currencies at the moment. So, but you could take that with a stop. M5 reversal alert. It's far too far away at the moment. It's too strong. So we want to see a bit of stopping and then reversal on that one. And New Zealand dollar, US dollar as well. Potentially a nice short. Let's have a look and see what the levels are on this. Nothing particularly standing out. 150 ADR today would be beautiful. If it could reach that there, I would definitely be interested in a short. Massively extended on the 15-minute, over 80s. Yeah, we haven't been there for a while. Look. Yeah. And there. So if we can get, you could start scaling in potentially. Up to you. You know, these ADR reversals are all down to your risk tolerance. If you want to get in there, yeah, no problem. You've then got a choice of waiting. If it does go against you, do you want to take a 125 and a 150, or do you just want to wait and take a 150? Get in at a 150 and wait for the pullback out. You know, so we are very, very extended, and it's still pushing hard. Look, it's not stopping. Aussie dollar CAD, again, Canadian dollar. So again, that's a nice looking short. I've just got in. So there's that pending order I had set. So again, M5 reversal isn't down till down there. I'm not leaving it that long. I'm taking that ADR. And then I'll monitor this moving forward and see where we go from there. But yeah, a few ADRs hit today. So Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD, and New Zealand US, potentially good ADR reversals for you today. DAX and the US indices, we've just taken out yesterday's low on that news, and it seems to be reversing here. So just watching the high of this candle to see, we've got a nice 3-bar reversal going in at the moment there. If we can break back above there, you've kind of missed it, but if we break back above there, potentially we've got the possibility of sitting in a range. But that was a hell of a move. So I'd be willing to look at the futures market today to take shorts out the lows and start taking shorts at high volume clusters. So I will watch the futures market this morning in Globex, because we might get some decent movements for shorts today. In fact, what I might do is trade micros today, just low risk. See if we can get some shorts. But the US indices are all reacting very much the same off of that news. So all pushed down. Now just all hovering, but lots of rejection wicks to the upside. Look, good rejection, good rejection. So it looks good for shorts. So you go sell stop under that candle, which you just get triggered into in a second, and stop above the high of that candle. I'm not going to do it on here. I'm going to do it on the futures. I keep saying I'm really tempted just to get into this on here, but I'm not going to use this account for index trading. I'm going to use it purely for futures. Morning, Trevor. You've just missed everything. You're an hour late. Get stamping your late book. So futures. At the moment, I'll have a quick look at futures for anybody interested. So we've got this D-shaped cluster at the moment. So obviously this is our initial open this morning, and then we got stuck. We built a very tiny volume cluster here. This is Globex pre-market, which is where we've returned to. We're just rotating volume on this at the minute. So futures this morning for me is selling the value area high and selling the breakout low. We've got a decent volume cluster, decent order sitting in there, which has been sitting in there now for a quarter of an hour, which hasn't been pulled. So potentially there's going to be a pop out the lows of that. But yeah, selling the highs of the volume cluster and looking for shorts at the minute. So you can see the wicks. Got a lot of wicks as highs. So this area here on your candlestick chart is volume area high, the value area high rather. So selling those wicks basically, and we're just chopping the range at the moment. So rotate down, get out, push back up, in, rotate down, get out. If we break the lows, get in, write it down, get out, wait for it to pull back, enter again. That's the plan today. So we'll see if that's happening. What's going on? Trevor, you're going to have to watch the replay. I'm not going to go over the last hour of analysis I've just done. You're late. Basically, Euro, they have said they're going to increase rates to 0.5 instead of 0.25. Well, they've indicated. They haven't said, obviously. They're going to say on Thursday what they're doing, but there is indication of higher rate increases coming out on Thursday, which has bolstered the Euro, which has dropped the markets, and will potentially bolster the Euro and the Swissy on Thursday. So yeah. Short one. I'm trading micros at the moment. I've been doing, I said yesterday I think, and I've said it a couple of times actually, I've been doing some analysis on my journalytics, and although I have really good Globex sessions, my journalytics says that my Globex sessions are my biggest losing sessions. Between the hours of 9 and 12 in the morning is where I've actually made my most losses historically. So I have decided, if I'm going to trade Globex because I see some fundamentals happening, or I just see some decent movement, I'm going to trade micros, so that either I make a little or I lose a little rather than losing a lot. Because I got chopped to death in Globex yesterday. So, and plan is to just add and hold positions, because you can see obviously the massive difference in money. Instead of $12.50 a tick, we're now talking $1.25 a tick. So, you know, getting in with more positions and scaling in when it's working, and obviously scaling in when it's going against as well. You know, my stop is a 64 tick stop, which is only worth $80. So I've got plenty of room to scale into a position short and only lose a couple of $100 if I'm wrong. If I did that on full size contracts, I'd be looking at a $1,500 loss up there, wouldn't I? So, you know, it's a replacement for if you've got the bug and you really want to be in the markets and you really want to trade Globex, even though you know it's probably not your best session. Micros, you can still trade it. You're getting all the experience of trading through the Globex session with 1/10 of the risk. and then switch over to full-size contracts for New York. But yeah, so just selling the high of this cluster basically with a view to getting out the lows. In fact, a little bit lower. I'm going to sell the breakout as well. But you can still make, you know, on a move like that, scaling into contracts as we come down, you can still make, you know, $100. If you can do this 3 or 4 times in the morning, it's worth it, isn't it? $300 or $400 for the morning session, as opposed to the $3,500 I've made in morning sessions, and then obviously had sessions where I've lost $2,500. So it would happen that one time I get in, we actually managed to close above all of those recent highs on the 5-minute chart. So hopefully this is a false breakout liquidity run of these highs. Got some good selling volume coming in. We're pretty neutral since I entered the position, so just watching tick strike just to see who's in charge at the moment. Seems to be a little bit more selling than buying coming in, but not an awful lot. If you want links to this software jigsaw for futures trading, it's in the description. If you want to go and check it out, if you're not familiar with it. Some fairly decent size coming in. We've got 80s and 70s. Volumes not too bad, which you'd expect obviously off of a news event. We had 14,000 contracts shorted there. Good selling coming across the DAX and the ES still. Second short. See, I'm stuck. Look at the size of that. Stop. That's only worth $170. Micros are so much more comfortable to trade in Globex, because you know in Globex, worst case scenario, you usually just get big rotations. So, you know, if this comes up to here, I can rotate this back down again, get out with relatively easily. Micros are not very liquid. I mean, if you look at what we've got, yeah, we're sitting on what? 20 contracts, 26, 7s, 22, 24s. So this is the micros. If I switch over to the, can't see it, where's it gone? The normal ES. We're sitting on 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, yeah? So it's probably 2/3 of the liquidity on the micros. Half to 2/3 maybe. But it's enough to trade the Globex session. You don't need a lot of liquidity in the Globex session, do you? It's because it's so slow. So it's not actually that different. New York, I'd imagine, is different. I used to trade micros in New York. Which one is it? Sorry, MES. Yeah, that one. There we go. Yeah, so it's a bit different, but not. I mean, it's not different enough, I don't think. It does the same thing, you know, if the ES goes down, the MES goes down. That's all I'm really worried about, directional bias. I'm using these two for directional bias to help as well. So they all do the same thing. just good for people with addictive personalities like me, who want to be in the market as much as possible. But I came close yesterday morning to blowing the live account. Not close, but I was in danger of going tilt yesterday because I was getting chopped so much. Luckily I kept myself under control and turned it off, but it's one of those things with futures, and this is why it doesn't click with a lot of people. It's very, very, very easy to revenge trade because it happens so fast. You can, when I'm looking to grab $100 out the market in the mornings, if I can do that 4 or 5 times, I'm done for the day. That's it, brilliant. If I have 3 or 4 trades go against me, I can be $1,000 down very quickly as well. And then your compulsion is to martingale yourself up and go, right, 3 contracts this time, and that's when it just blows. So you've got to keep that under control. Switching to micros when in those situations doesn't help you, because what you'll do is you just take 10 micros long, and that's exactly the same as taking 1 contract long on a normal mini. So starting on micros, worst case scenario, I can say, right, I might lose $300-500 if I'm having a really bad session in Globex. 1 trade later in New York on full size contracts, I've got that back. So, and obviously you want to be in the market as long as possible. The longer you're in the market, the longer you're watching price action, watching the clusters build, the more you're building that muscle memory and drilling. But I'm up a grand total of $42 this morning. Not to be sniffed at. It's about a quarter of a meal out with the family. Maybe I just won't eat next time we go out. We've gone really slow now. So that initial volatility we had off of the Euro announcement, we've lost momentum. So I'd imagine the FX is doing the same at the minute. But we'll see if we can get rotation down. So I'll get out of this one down here. 60 odd bucks. And also strike rate on micros in Globex, I think you'll find is very, very high. Because it's no problem scaling into losers on micros when you're talking such small amounts. I've got no problem taking a couple of positions there and just waiting for that. This market moves in waves a lot, so you don't need much of a movement down to get yourself out with a scratch. Won't make any money, but getting out with a scratch is very easy. As will all the people, everybody that's doing that right now, that was long here because of that initial push, looking for the market structure continuation to the upside. If you'd have scaled in like that, you're out. Done. Scratch. Went long there, lost nothing. A lot of people do that in micros. A lot of the banks do it with full-size contracts, but hey, we haven't got that liquidity. Decent amount of selling coming in, but we're not actually making a lot of progress with these sellers. So we may well be coming back up to retest that level. We'll see. But hopefully we'll just rotate down. But we're not going anywhere at the moment, so I won't bore you to death with that, because it will bore you to death. ADR on Aussie CAD and Aussie US now. Oh yeah, we looked at the Aussie CAD one, didn't we? So pushing up to 125. Aussie US, we've hit the 100. So again, another short opportunity there. This US dollar must be tanking bad. We've got a very strong New Zealand dollar this morning as well, and a very strong Australian. See, the Australian is actually powering up against the Swissy. So we've got a very strong Aussie this morning for some reason. A very strong New Zealand market as well. Another perfect storm forming. So yeah, just mean revert these, I would. I'm going into drawdown, I should imagine. 2%, that's alright. So pound US dollar. I'll be looking to take a second position on that sometime soon. Those highs are about half an ADR. So again, I'm not going to get a reversal, so I might stick a pending up on that. So if we do a liquidity run of yesterday's high, I'll get in a second position on pound US. Waiting for a break below to get involved in ES, or a break above the current range. Not liking that chop. No, it's very choppy. We're just rotating that cluster basically, but very, very, very tight. So it's not very good conditions. But this is the thing with the Globex, yeah. I can sit in this and hold this trade all the way up to the highs of the day, and it's going to cost me $111. I'd rather sit in it with a position on than wait to try and get involved. New Zealand dollar CAD 125. Really strong New Zealand. Aussie dollar CAD 125. There we go, look. So yesterday, the chances of a 50 basis point hike. Why did you move it just as I draw around it? The chances of a 50 basis point hike yesterday was 35%. Now it's 60%. So more likely to have a hike than not on Thursday. So looking good for euro strength. Strong net tightening of credit standards for housing loans. Cost of funds balance. Russia is an integral part of OPEC. Yes, we know. Lack of oil. No, nothing exciting there. I was just saying if there's anything Aussie or New Zealand related. Obviously we had the Australian news last night, so they're obviously deeming that to be bullish. I mean, if you look at what the Aussies have got, like they're expecting inflation to fall back to 2 to 3% level next year. So they're being very, very bullish about their economy. Potential rate hike by 25 or 50, that's pretty standard. So yes, I think this market strength that we're seeing on the euro, on the Aussie and the New Zealand this morning is just a reaction to the Aussie news last night, which was bullish. It will get battered back down again, but we may need to start adjusting our bias on those to be ever so slightly long rather than short. So we'll see, but plenty of pullback potential on these. So if you're in these with me, just obviously, pay attention to where we are, what's going on. Pay attention to ADR levels. That's not right. Let me go down to a lower chart. So yeah, pay attention to ADR levels. Yeah, you want to keep your average within ADR as much as you possibly can, so that when we get that pullback day, we get that exit opportunity. If we're wrong on the trade, we need to be able to exit the trade. If there's a fundamental shift, to keep your break even within ADR, give yourself that chance of getting out. So don't scale in too tight together, but equally don't leave it too far apart. And that's the difficulty. Right. There's nothing going on in the futures markets at all. Dead as a door now. So I'll leave it there. 0.22 banked on the day. So just need to get something to pull back really, so I can get into some more position, get into some more profit in the bank. Getting a little bit of bearishness starting to show across the indices. We've had good bearish action coming in the last 15 minutes on the DAX, but we're not actually making much more progress to the lows. So I think we may well just rotate down here for a little bit, but there's more chance of us breaking short, I think, with that Euro news. So I keep a fairly short bias on it, but let the market tell you what it's doing. Yeah, so that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow morning 7:50. Be in the Telegram group if you need me. But we'll just wait and see what happens. And news-wise, obviously, just be aware of tomorrow morning. We've got Low speaking. So this afternoon you've got Bailey. Not sure anything's going to be said really this afternoon that is going to move. And same with Brainard as well. But tomorrow morning we've got Low speaking, so there could be some volatility on the Aussie, and then tomorrow morning it all kicks off with the CPIs for the pound and CAD. So we've got some decent market moving events tomorrow, and then obviously Thursday's the biggie. So keep your eyes peeled for opportunities, but just manage everything that you're in, and hopefully we get some pullbacks today and get some profit in. All right, and good luck if you're in the futures. Try and do something else if you can during Globex. Keep yourself occupied. Go and play with some micros, or better still, just do. Well, drilling's awful, but go and play with some micros. That's how I'm entertaining myself. At least you're still playing with real money, but keeps you entertained. Right, so I'll be back tomorrow morning 7:50, same time. And if you need anything, come in the Telegram group. Otherwise, have a good day, and I'll see you then.